everyone. So, fact here that 2% of the entire world's electricity is used by data centers. And that equates to as much CO2, so they use as much CO2 as the entire airline industry in the world. And this started from Greenpeace, which was done a few years ago. And at that point, they thought that, they saw that the amount of data that we store in data centers is doubling every 2 years. So they were a bit worried, kind of, because it's 2%, if it keeps increasing that amount, then that's going to be like catastrophic for the world. It's going to be more than cows even. What they did was, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, probably not, because the data center owners probably just want money. I'm thinking they were a bit more efficient, but it's the way we're using their resources that are getting more and more efficient. So originally, when the Greenpeace study was done, I think it was like 2004 or something, that many people were using servers, and like some people were kind of using VMs, but I think a lot of people were just putting things straight on servers, and that gives you a load of like extra capacity that you don't really need to, it's just wasted capacity. And then came along VMs, and then came along containers, and then came along the buzzword serverless, only bedded by Agile. I think that's the only buzzword that betters it. So I went to the Oracle of Truth to see what is the most loved platform by developers. Well, it's not developers, but most people on Stack Overflow are developers. The second one, which really surprised me, was Docker. So the second biggest one is Docker. It'd be good to know who in the room uses Docker, but not maybe you don't use it, you write scripts or anything, but you just you use it kind of day to day. Has anyone in here used Docker? Okay, so probably about 30%. So I asked that question because it kind of favors me for people not to answer that one, because then I can bring the stat out and it makes me look better. But if you're shy, then that's good, because then you don't answer. So apparently, if you don't use containers, according to Stack Overflow, this isn't me just making up charts. I could do. You just believe me. But then you're in the minority now, because it's 46.1% of people don't use containers. And the most people that use containers are people like us, kind of in development. I think that production stat is a complete lie. No, it's not a quarter. Definitely not. Does that even add up to 100%? It doesn't, does it? I shouldn't have said that, should I? Whoops. What is Docker trying to solve? What is the problem Docker is trying to solve? So for developers, I think is why it's the most loved platform, is because you have been either on the receiving end or you've been on the giving end of this phrase. Absolutely. I can't imagine that anyone has not, which is, I put it down. I should have put it up high. Have you tried turning it on and off again? That's from the IT crowd, which is an awesome one. And now I'm thinking, actually, I'm probably quite old, so maybe people haven't seen this, so it's completely lost on about half the audience. Right, so what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to say what's good about Docker, and then how to Docker like a pro, or just pretend you Docker like a pro, and then you can say, oh yeah, that thing, yeah, I know about it. And then the last thing is I'm just going to show you kind of the power of why you would use it, and just a really quick way of kind of getting your feet wet with it. So let's go all the way back on the what's so good about Docker. I'll go back all the way to the 1920s. So in the 1920s, the only way to freight goods was to get all these really oddly shaped things like barrels and boxes and little things like that, and then put them right in the hull of the ships. And then you'd sail them away, but they were all packed all weirdly, and you couldn't stack them in an efficient way. So along came this guy, Malcolm McLean, and he said, I've got a fleet of lorries, and the lorries are quite an efficient way of boxing things up in a particular way. And if you've ever moved house, you pack them up in a box and then you put them in the van. You don't just put a random toaster in there, you don't just put a pen or something, you put them in a box and then you put them in the van. So he was like, well, why are all the shipping companies just putting random stuff in the body of the ship? So this is an emoji representation of a ship. I couldn't find a container emoji, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, on the left is kind of all this Although this emoji diagram's a bit crap because it kind of fits in a box, but you can imagine you can imagine like all these like random things. Like it's got a telephone, alarm clock, like an old school like video camera, that kind of thing. So you've got all those kind of different things. And on the right there, that's like a more convenient method. You can pack them inside the ship and you can pack them on top of the ship, and you can pack them really high because they're of a fixed size and fixed shape. And it's easy to load them, easy to take them off. So this is what you like know and love all today. Obviously, you all love containers, but this is kind of where the idea came from the container idea. It's kind of like you put all the crap inside and then you shut the door, and you don't even need to worry about what's inside that door. It could be anything. It could be like immigrants, whatever. It could be anything in there. So why does this relate apart from just me blathering on about something I probably shouldn't have. You've got so you get a new computer, which we all like. That's like the best bit. And then someone says you've got to install things on it, and that's like the worst bit. So you come along and you go, I want React because it's the cool new thing. And then you put React on. That's pretty easy. You got the CLI. It's easy. And then someone says, I've got an API. Just download that code from GitHub. Run the Node API, and you're like, that's pretty easy, like npm start. I've done it. You interacting with that, and then you realize your app doesn't work, and then you're like, why isn't the app doesn't work? And it's like, obviously you need Java on there as well because there's a Java API. And okay, so you install Java as well. You run that app, it doesn't work. You've got the wrong version. It could be anything. Like Java it's just a mystery box of fun, and. Then he says, then that doesn't work, obviously. And then he says, well, you need a database. You need to store some data. So then you get Postgres. That's the elephant. So you get Postgres, and you're like, that's okay. I'm done it. And then you do a bit of search, and you got the search bar, and the search bar doesn't work. And then they're like, you need Elasticsearch. It just goes on, and then it's just like, your computer falls over or something, and then you've just got hundreds of versions of everything installed everywhere. So what Docker tries to do is, container, put all those different things in particular boxes. So you don't actually have to know anything about Postgres. You don't have to know anything about Java. You don't have to know anything about Node. You just put them all in these boxes, and then you can just share those around your team. A little bit like NPM modules where you just, you start something up, and then it's just really easy to install it, and you don't have to actually worry about it. All you have to worry about is how they communicate, and all you care about is you want to see a web page. That's all you want to see. So that's the power of Docker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and give you some words that you can use, and then make you sound like a pro. So this is just a picture of I thought this is an image. So an image is so an image is a term used in Docker. And while I was looking for this, actually when I first gave this a long time ago at work a while ago, someone gave me a good. I just off the cuff had a good idea about how to describe this. So I had this idea to do this, and I thought, I'm sure I have an old like. They call it like CDs images. So I don't know if everyone is old enough to remember Windows 95. So I can't believe I've actually found Windows 95. It's awesome. There's an actual disk in here and everything. I couldn't believe it when I found it. So yeah, this is Windows 95. I was really excited. I think it was like 100 quid or something crazy when it was out. Used it for many years. Obviously didn't rip any off. So that's what an image is. And amazingly, what someone's done is written a image. So an image is like a CD, but it's stored online. So you go to hub.docker.com, you search for Windows 95, and someone's actually made a Windows 95 Docker image so you can run Windows 95 on your Mac. So so that's what an image is. When you go on Docker Hub, you've got this here. You'd search for it. This is an image. It has no code. It's not running any code. It's just a dormant bunch of scripts that will run when you want it to run. So next, what you've got is Docker pull. So Docker pull, what that does is, a lot of people probably I've never even seen one of these. So this is a CD case, everyone. So what happens when you do a Docker pull? You go from the cloud and you take the image and you put it in your CD case. And that's it. Then you've got it locally, and then you can, you know, put it in your CD changer in your car, and you're away. So, yeah, so, and there's another command, docker images. So that just gets your CD case. So you can quickly get out your RoboCop 2 DVD, put it straight in. And next what we've got is containers. So the term containers, it's not to do with that. It's just try to find a picture of a container. So what that is I've got another prop for you, which is DVD drive. If no one's seen this before, DVD drive. So what a container is, you have the image, it's dormant, you put it in the CD drive, you close the CD drive. I'm not going to close it because if you know about CD drives, if you close it, you have to like poke a paper clip in the bottom, and it's really difficult in this one. So you put it in there, and then when it's running, you turn on your computer, and when your computer's running, that is your running container. So there you go, Docker run, you're running Windows 95, and for nostalgia's sake, I ran this. So here we go, Windows 95. Wow, everyone loves that. So yeah, so you can relive your nostalgic dreams, and you can open Paint, you can, you know, write in Paint, stuff like that, and it works pretty well. But in Docker, it's not as efficient as you would like. So you probably don't really actually want to use it like this. But it's cool that you can actually run on your Mac an operating system from so long ago. I just write woot on the Paint, so I'll just keep going. Right, so there's another command here, docker ps, and that gives you everything that's running. So at the minute, what I've got running on there is Windows 95. So how does it work? So you might have used VMs before. So how Docker is different than VMs is that when you do Docker run, it starts things immediately, and it does that. It manages that by you have the infrastructure at the bottom. Where I've got my clicker. So you got the infrastructure at the bottom. Then you've got your Mac OS, and then what Docker does is some magic that it happens in between there, so that when you're running Node.js, you're running it with libraries, and Docker is kind of the go-between between the container and your operating system. So Docker is actually using a lot of the libraries that come with your operating system, rather than a VM where it starts the whole thing up. So it starts like a whole operating system up. It's using actual libraries from your Mac OS. What it's doing is it's converting the Linux commands into Mac OS commands. So you can use libraries in your Mac OS. So that means you can start up all these different containers, and it's pretty much instantaneous, which is the massive benefit over VMs, because it doesn't make your Mac just, you know, whirl about and like take off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, if you want to go from nothing, and then at the end have some kind of web app. So your boss rings you up and like really calmly says like, you know, someone else's computer's blown up. I need some help because I've got this really important customer meeting, and I need you to, you know, get the app up and running. So then you obviously don't panic, and you just like say calmly, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I'll do that. So, you know, there's so many different parts now. Like before, it used to be, you know, used to have HTML, used to have CSS, used to have JavaScript. That's all I used to care about, and it was really simple to make a website. Now you've just got all this crap. I mean, obviously good stuff, but like all these things that maybe like, you know, massively over-engineered things. So I'll show you a little demo. So this is like, so someone said, oh, I've got this Rust API. I've got this Rust website that it's, you know, I've got it working on my computer, so you should be able to get it working on yours. So I'll see if I can run that. Yeah, you got it. So yeah, that's it. So now your API is running. Now it's Node API running. So instead of having to go to the documentation and then doing like download, getting the doing like a git clone, and then you got to do npm install, blah 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 to get it working. Then it's a few commands. So I'll show you that. So that's the site up and running. Oh, well, I'll prove it because I had it there already. So yeah, you show that at the meeting. You've got 3 minutes left, 3 minutes to spare. You come over and he's like, yeah, this is the app that they had. But then your boss isn't happy with this because all it says is hello world, obviously, because it's crap. So the real power of Docker is kind of you can have a whole kind of ecosystem. So the next step is kind of having multiple things all together. So you don't really want to have this Docker run command and then like do loads of Docker run commands. So Docker run Postgres, Docker run, Elasticsearch, Java. You don't want to have all those in connected. And that's really just like tedious. So they came up with a file called Docker Compose. So what Docker Compose does is it defines multiple things that you can run all together. So when you run that file all together, just like magic, you've got this whole kind of system that you can run. So in this case, you've got 5 different things, but those different things you can swap in and out. So like if someone makes a Node.js app and then they want to make a .NET app, it's really easy to switch those containers out without you even knowing about it because all you do is using Docker. So I'll show you that one, which is a little more impressive, if you can believe that. So I'll just stop that one and then I'll start the other one. So yeah, for that one, you use the command, actually I'll make it a bit bigger so you can see. Maybe. Docker Compose up. -d just runs it in the background. So then what you've got is those different things, and that's it. All of those are up and running pretty much immediately. So I'll show you that. So that one is a different web address. Sorry. Fucking Slack. No. So if you go to 5,000, there you go. It's already up. And then you can vote cats a few times, maybe a dog. And then you've got another one. So you got the front end, and then you got the back end, and you got another one, another different app that takes how many cat and dog votes you've taken. So so you can build like a really complicated, as complicated as you want, really, thing all together. You don't really need to know about it. So you can build a front end, and you don't have to worry about installing anything on the back end. You can just run up something. You don't have to worry about it at all. So so that's it. That was the demo. It already been. And that's me, Peter Grainger. That's my Twitter handle, if anyone wants to think. I'll share these slides on Twitter after this, if anyone's interested. And yeah, just ask me about anything that you want.